Vanakkam. Hello. This is PM Chandrasekhar, PMC to be short and easy. On behalf of ICF Chennai Charter Chapter, I welcome you all to our celebrations of the International Coaching Week 2022, that is ICW 22. Reimagine the future is the theme set by International Coaching Federation for ICW 22. At ICF Chennai, we have combined this theme with our own vision, and our vision is grow. Grow coaching, grow coaches, grow community, grow chapter. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the theme for ICW 22 celebrations by ICF Chennai is Reimagine the Future to Grow. Based on this theme, we have put a program together in the form of a mini conference. This mini conference is structured with 3 different ambiences, that is, explore, experience, and expertise. In each of these 3 sessions, we endeavor to include a wide range of stakeholders of the coaching ecosystem itself, that is, coaches, organizations, individuals, coaching enthusiasts, and of course, people whose voices are like beacons for the coaching ecosystem. Before we delve into the sessions, a bit of administrative announcements. Session 1, that is this session, and session 3, which is at 7:30 p.m. today, offer 1.5 CCEUs each for resource development. So join us on time, stay with us till the end, and keep an eye on the chat box. You will be given an opening and closing passcodes at the appropriate time and the instructions to apply for CCEUs. So now, I invite you all to join us for an exciting and invigorating session and sessions where you could explore and co-create, experience coaching, and listen to people with expertise, all with the aim of reimagining the future to grow. Having said that, let me now step aside and invite Vijayalakshmi, MCC MP, the president of ICF Chennai Charter Chapter, fondly called Vijay by all of us here, to take you through the inaugural, that is the flag off session, and also for an exciting, first of its kind, launch by ICF Chennai. Over to you, Vijay.
Thank you so much, PMC. That was a fabulous introduction of the 3 E's. We have this thing about acronyms, and we're big on the C's, but I think now you've introduced the word E as well. So I'm quite excited to note that. What warms my heart is the fact that we have coaches from our own chapter. We have coach friends from across. We have a lot of coaching enthusiasts and people who are simply curious about coaching joining us in this co-creation. That is something we really look forward to in the chapter, that we co-create much better when we do it together. And I think this ICW also has that theme always in the background. I know I have to set a context, but more importantly, I think I would like to launch something very exciting that PMC spoke about. And I think in doing so, I will definitely share a context. So let me start. I do have a few slides that I will talk you through. I'd invite you to, be with me as I take you through 3 separate bits of information or data. Yeah, so let me know if my screen is not visible or something. Is it okay, PMC?
It's your presenter's view coming up, Vijay.
Okay. Just give me 1 minute, please. Yeah, now good?
Yeah, good.
Okay, great. Thank you. So let's begin, always at the beginning. And the beginning, in a milestone turn for this chapter for ICF Chennai, and the Namma Chennai Charter Chapter, as we fondly call it, always the beginning story goes with a 4-letter word. And I'm wondering whether anyone in the audience can guess what that is. Just unmute yourselves and
Grow.
Grow.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is grow. And for those of you who don't know what grow is, it gives me one more opportunity to talk about it. We all light up when we think of grow. So grow is the vision of ICF Chennai Charter Chapter, something we embarked on almost 2 years ago. And grow simply is about everything we do in this chapter to grow coaching. Starts with coaching, and then grow coaches, grow the community, and of course, in all of this, the chapter grows. And we aspire to be a bold, bright, beautiful, and booming community ecosystem. And I sense, in the energy we all feel, we are there. And of course, there's lots more to do. So keep this in your mind. And when I talk grow, it's also important to draw our attention to the first pillar, which is grow coaching. Moving on to the next, and I'm sure many of you have seen me talk about this, but I'll talk about it again in a slightly different context, which is the 7 guiding values of our chapter. And there are a couple of them, while of course all 7 are very important and very dear to us. Today, I have highlighted 4 of them. So the first one is innovation. Second one is learning. Third one is inclusion. And the fourth one is my favorite, the spirit of community. So we have the vision, and then we have the focus on grow coaching. Then we have our values, and we want to sort of draw our attention to these values. Now, let me again take you to a third bit of information, which I would say, as my friend PMC here would often say, the jewel in the crown of ICF Chennai. And I don't mind saying that and borrowing his term, which is nothing but ICF India Conclave 2021, and aptly titled as Coaching for Growth, falling from our vision, where we aspired to take a very systemic view of coaching for growth in individuals, teams, organizations, and systems, which is pretty much everything. It was a completely virtual global event. Again, not surprising. No guessing points for guessing that on coaching and growth, right? I mean, anything in Chennai we do has got to connect back to grow and to growth, right? This conclave, ladies and gentlemen, was for those of you who were there, you know it, I don't have to say, but for those of you who missed it, was a unique coming together of the coaching ecosystem. And it was amazing, spread over 3 days. The most beautiful part was, it was probably a first attempt bringing together the whole coaching ecosystem with this belief that, a community of coaches can't really grow if the ecosystem does not grow, and we don't partner with the ecosystem. So we had clients, coaches, sponsors, organizations, stakeholders, coaching enthusiasts, and aspirants, everyone coming together. We had many learnings in the conclave, but I think the conclave left us amazed at one thing: the power and potential of professional coaching. And we realized we had just scratched the surface. We had just begun the discovery of possibilities in the 3 days of the conclave. I mean, how much can you do, right? The question was, how can we continue to grow coaching and drive thought leadership in the field of coaching? So the conclave concluded in end August. And of course, we had an after party, after conference, and anything to sort of make the conference, sort of that atmosphere extend. But at one point of time, we had to sort of wind down, right? But this was the question that was playing in our heads and hearts. And we were left thinking, saying, could we create something? And I'm sort of tying all 3 here, right? The vision with the focus on growth coaching, the values with the focus on those 4 values that I called out. And of course, this big, massive conclave, which is not a conference, but an experience, I would say. And if you don't believe me, you must go to our YouTube channel where you can have the recordings of all the sessions, and you would understand what I'm talking about. So the question was, can we create something and replicate that, would something that would accelerated us, that would accelerate us towards our vision to grow coaching. Something that could bring the values of innovation, learning, inclusion, and the spirit of community to life. And something that could build and sustain the magic and impact that was created by CFG Ethos, Coaching for Growth Ethos. And after a couple of months of soul searching and brainstorming, this is what we arrived at. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud privilege to present something very close to the heart of ICF Chennai, and something which we believe would be a very, very strategic thing for us as we grow. Welcome to ICF Chennai Charter Chapter's first ever Communities of Practice, and aptly titled Grow Coaching and Thought Leadership. Please give me and give us a big round of applause. Thank you. So now that this has been revealed, let's talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts. I know many of you, the concept of the communities of practice is not very new to the ICF global system. There are very few chapters that have local communities of practice. And we are quite proud to say that we've taken the plunge. Of course, we don't know where this is going to take us, but I think with all the things we do in the chapter, we set out with a good intent, and somehow I think the ecosystem conspires to make it happen. And we believe this is the same approach with the COP or the communities of practice. But I would still like to talk a little bit about the nitty-gritties, not necessarily the mechanics, so that we are all on the same page as to what we would seek to achieve through our GCTL COP. The purpose of this COP, and I know it just seems like a nice sort of definition put together, but stay with me on the words, especially the words which are in yellow. To explore hitherto uncharted territories of knowledge and facilitate thought leadership related to coaching and coaching growth, which is how do we grow coaching within the coaching ecosystem, and very much aligned to the chapter vision grow. So this is the purpose. This is the why. Let's talk about the vision. So what's our dream? How do we see this? Where would we like to go? We would like to create an inclusive space. And I'm sure you all would understand why I've underlined those yellow words in yellow. And if you don't, I will explain in a bit. To create an inclusive space that will bring coach practitioners and diverse thought leaders together as a learning community to explore the growth of coaching and to ideate, envision, and discover innovative, future-focused approaches to coaching. The future is now. So we've got to do something about it. We've got to think ahead. And I think that's really why, how we see this COP, panning out. A little bit more about the mechanics of the COP before I will, end my address and presentation. This is the way we see this unfold, right? And this is like a commonly understood approach of COP, and you can study that. Typically, there are three intersecting circles, and I think the COP falls right there. There is the domain, right? I mean, why did we choose this COP, right? Why not something else? Why not executive coaching? Why not something else, health and wellness? We chose this because this is a domain we deeply care about, in this community. And I think it's also very important. That's why those yellow things all tied back to our values, right? Practice. It's not just enough, to get together. How do we practice this? What can we together do about it? It is co-creation. It's not one person. It's not expertise like PMC was talking about. This COP effort is just not expertise. It's a mix of all three: experience, expertise, and exploration. And then the community, right? Who does this matter to? Who cares about it? And I think this is the intersection, and this is the way we need to visualize the COP. So we are imagining a community of those who are passionate about growth of coaching, would love to talk about that, think about it, and about coaching thought leadership. Hey, what's next? It's really for the people who want to think beyond and ahead. a space that will foster co-creation, learning, and innovation. So each one of us is an expert. Of course, from time to time, we would invite SMEs or subject matter experts or thought leaders to just get us going. Sometimes our COP efforts would just be simply facilitate pure co-creation, and both are important. We understand that. And finally, we would like to have this as a well-planned and periodic activity. As I'm going to hand back over to PMC here, I'm very happy to introduce this team who is going to bring the COP to life starting today. First up, Baburaj Nair, PCC, and Shiva Subramaniam, PCC, both of whom are very well-known coaches in the chapter and in the ecosystem. And both of them have kindly consented to be COP leaders. Every COP needs to have a leader. And of course, from the Board of Directors of ICF Chennai, we have Natarajan BACC, who's also our Director L&D, who is going to be the anchor director, so that we ensure that the support, the focus, and everything from the board, I think the organization side is available for the growth of the COP. And of course, I am very privileged to be a mentor for the COP. So with that, I am now going to invite the COP team of Shiva, Baburaj, and Natarajan to share space with me here for a minute so that all of you can see who they are. And what are they going to do? They're also not just COP leaders today, but they are going to be COP facilitators. So this you could consider is a semi-business first session of the COP, right? Where we are going to experience what probably could be there in store in the remaining sessions of the COP. And today's focus is going to be on grow coaching, exploring uncharted territories in emerging markets. And happy to welcome Shiva and Baburaj as the facilitators for this experience. And I hand it over from here.
Thank you very much, Vijay and PMC, for this wonderful inaugural session. And I think it's a privilege for me and Shiva to be invited by the Chennai chapter to, for such a wonderful experiential kind of a process. And it's a great learning for me and Shiva too. And when this entire process started, we felt that, what is this community of practice? We know what is community of practice, but how do we connect it? But like what Vijay has very clearly articulated, on the three fundamental principles are the pillars of the COP. Community of practice is one is what we call it as a domain. The second one is the community. And the third one, according to me, because the sequencing which I like to look at it is the last one is the practice. But in the last one, the most important thing is that what do we create together? That togetherness. So what myself and Shiva and the team, when we discussed about it, we felt that without involving the participants, without co-creating, we cannot reimagining the future to grow. And that's where we have structured this entire process. Throughout this next 3 minutes, it will be a more involved process rather than myself and Shiva talking too much about it. We will definitely put a context and a broad outline of the process, and we'll expect the group to co-create, facilitate, add value to the entire process. We also felt that one of the best way when we talk about co-creating is to think something different way of building this entire value chain for COP. So for this particular process, we thought that design thinking principle would be one of the best mechanisms to do it. Not many people have charted into it. Again, it is an uncharted area, and Shiva is a fairly expert in that area. I have done some exercises in that. So we thought that again it will be for us, and at the same time we are also opening it up for the entire community. So before I get into further, I will just share with you a 2 minute, not even 2 minute presentation to you, all of you, to get a feel of what is design thinking principle, which I'm sure that most of you know. Some of you might be even experts, more than experts than me and Shiva. But just wanted to share with you, and then we will take it forward. Just be with me. Yeah, please listen to this. And
design strategy is about thinking differently, putting yourself in your customer's shoes to design solutions that not only fit their needs but delight them by empathizing through observing people in real-life scenarios like shopping, or through open-ended interviews to uncover what people do rather than what they want. Because if you ask people what they want, they don't necessarily know. By immersing yourself in your customer's world, you can understand their needs, gains and pains. How? 1. Empathise. Immerse yourself in your customer's world. 2. Define the non-obvious insights. 3. Ideate. Brainstorm solutions. 4. Prototype. Build an MVP, minimum viable product, of ideas in the shortest possible time. Then take those prototypes back to your customers and ask what they think. Design strategy starts with the customer, then offers the solution, not the other way around. For example, an Australian supermarket chain wanted to design a unique, engaging in-store experience to further set them apart from competitors. So we followed their customers around, interviewed them, and watched what was happening in store over a considerable period. Customers wanted to feel more connected with the suppliers of their produce, an in-store experience they couldn't find elsewhere. One of the winning ideas was an in-store milk dispenser with old-style glass milk bottles. Customers fill the bottles with single-origin high-quality milk. They can see details of the cows and farms that produced it, with assurance the suppliers receive a better price. This experience delights customers and is very successful across stores. If we had asked what customers wanted, they probably have said cheaper produce. But by empathizing, living and observing, we developed an idea that not only excites customers, but gives the store a unique edge by connecting with customers' hearts and minds.
Very, very simple, straightforward. Very simple, straightforward element of design thinking. I would like to pause for a moment here and request all the participants. When you look at design thinking and when you look at coaching, or even just an individual going through the life, is there anything which is emerging into your mind? Any thoughts which is coming to your mind? How does this entire process of the 5 steps, that's empathizing, defining, ideating, prototyping, testing, it's the technical terms of the design thinking. How does these elements are connecting to the coaching or just a normal life? Is there any thoughts which is coming to the participants? Would you like to put it on the chat box? And we can just spend an hour's time, just pause, just get a thought of this into it before being followed. I'll just pause for a moment. Any thoughts on the chat box? Fine. I think that most of the people are, looking forward to lead. And
the chat is the chat is disabled. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody would love to share if chat is disabled? Any 1 or 2 thought process? Anyway, just
I'm going to enable the chat. Sorry about that.
Okay. No props. In case anybody would love to quickly share, just a minute time.
Yeah, hi, this is Karthik here. Maybe if I can share a couple of things.
Please.
So I kind of trying to relate what you told about with agile coaching or any coaching for that matter, I would say it is about improving one's potential or bringing out their true value. So here, what in terms of design thinking, what we're trying to do is understand the current context of and what exactly happens in terms of clients' experience and see how we can improve their experience, right, through the design thinking. Also, like we are trying to solve a major problem, right? When we go for design thinking, we try to solve the problem, and what in turn we are trying to do is continuously improve.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anybody else would like to share one or two points before I move on?
Yeah,
It is co-creating the problem. Both are client-centric and solution-focused. Madhavan said, and empathize, understand the client's need, and work with them to solve their problems. Fantastic, Sunanda. Thank you, Sunanda, for coming in. Yeah.
One thing that's
great.
Sorry.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Somebody
so what immediately stood out for me was that sometimes client doesn't know what they want. Even in coaching,
Absolutely.
Times, they don't know what they want. They come with something, but when we explore, we figure out that they actually eat something different. So that way, it was a similarity that immediately struck me when I saw that. And of course, there are a lot of similarities in the process, and there's a lot of that can be kind of derived from design thinking that we can integrate. So that's what immediately appeared to me. First thing that actually caught my attention.
Thank you, Reshma Priya. Thank you. I like what Karthik and Sunanda, Reshma Priya, and other few friends and a few people. Alan Sholnik has said that understanding the client's perspective is so important. And like Alan and all other, I will call it as a team members of this COP meeting. All these people, what are we talking about? We are talking about ensuring that we connect to the client, ensuring that we understand what the customer is looking at. And design thinking principle is one of the fundamental aspect is that immersing, that is a word which is used in that, immersing yourself into the experience. That means as a coaches, we also talk about being present, listening to the customer. So these are the reasons why the entire team of the Chennai chapter, including myself and Shiva, felt that this is the thing which we wanted to start with. Going forward, Shiva will take forward and discuss on the first element, that is the empathy, and how the empathy element is connecting to it, and what we can as a members co-create into this. Would request Shiva to take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Baburaj. Thank you, everyone. It's always a pleasure to speak to people who are interested in something new. And I don't know, for the last 1 week, the mind has been very restless simply because of the challenge before me. The number one challenge is you don't know it, but I'm very nervous. Nervous because I'm speaking to people who probably know so much, right? And so therefore, anyway, I said, okay, as a coach, I have to be prepared for challenges, and I accepted the role that I'm supposed to play now, which is to elicit from you ideas on uncharted territories. So there are 3 or 4 things. That's all I have to say before you go into these breakout rooms and you actually tell us the wonderful stories that you have, the ideas that you have about uncharted territories. That's the plan. So my job is only to set the context of what you will do in those breakout rooms for the next 20 minutes. So let me share the screen in order that, yeah. So this is what you saw, right? You just saw. So this is what we're talking about, grow. So design thinking, when Vijay and Baburaj spoke about design thinking, essentially that's what it is. These are the 5 steps: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, right, and test. And we know, and we heard from many of you that design thinking could be appropriate to coaching. But the challenge before us was the time. We have only 90 minutes, and it's impossible to do all these steps in the 90 minutes. So we said this is a COP, which is a communities of practice, and And communities of practice is a continuous thing, right? It doesn't stop with just one thing. So we said, can we start with one step today? Can we just start with one step today, which is empathize? So forgive us if we don't have the time for the next 4 steps. But we said, let's start with empathize. So that's the plan. The plan is to use empathize for looking at uncharted territories. So that's the brief for all of us. And I'm saying all of us because there is not one person in this group who knows more than anyone else. And all of us together know a lot, right? So that's the whole point. So can we use empathy in order to look for uncharted territories? So the focus of today's session. And this is what it is, right? This is the hero of today. There's nothing more important than this topic, exploring uncharted territories. If all of us together create, let's say 50 uncharted territories, can you ask yourself what it can do for the coaching community, what it can do for us, what it can do for the clients, right? There are clients who probably don't even know that they can be coached. And therefore, for me, this is the excitement for today. But in order to fulfill this, we need to use something. And therefore, design thinking comes into play. Because you can't do something without a tool. And design thinking is a perfectly normal tool. So we said, okay, design thinking. In design thinking, what do we use? We use empathy. How do we use empathy? So for that, I have this you must have seen this video thousands of times in the movie made after him. There's a movie made after him. His name is Muruganandam Arunachal. I'm going to show you a 90-second clip of how he used empathy, and not only to teach us about him. I learned empathy from him because what I learned from Muruganandam was, till I saw Muruganandam, I thought empathy was getting into someone's shoes. But after I saw Muruganandam, I learned that empathy is not getting into someone's shoes, but taking off my own shoes in order to become someone else. So Muruganandam is the pad man of India. He looked at menstruation as a problem. He found that his wife was too poor to buy sanitary napkins, and therefore she was using all sorts of stuff. Then he actually used empathy to feel how a woman who is going through a menstruation actually feels, right? So you will see that in the video. And of course, empathy is not only used by him in order to understand someone's pain, it's also used by him to look for a new industry, new segment, new market. So 2 things empathy did for him, right? And you must excuse the little crude Muruganandam is because, he speaks in a different way, but the spirit of Muruganandam is brilliant, just brilliant. So watch the story, watch the video. I'm playing it from the middle. I'll stop in the middle. Forgive me for doing that simply because time is not really our friend. Yeah, can you see the video? Just one of you, please raise your hands. Yeah, thank you.
Sir, one day she said openly, I'm not going to support this research. Then another victims, they got into my sisters. But even sisters' wife, they are not ready to support in the research. That's why I'm always jealous with the saints in India. They are having a lot of women volunteers around them. Why I'm not getting? Even without the calling all Anandas, Nandas, they will get a lot of women volunteers. Then I try to use that medical college girls. They are also refused. Finally, I decide, use sanitary pad myself. Now I'm having a title like the first man set foot on the moon, Armstrong. Then Tenzing Hillary in Everest, like that Muruganand is the first man who wore a sanitary pad across the globe. I wore a sanitary pad. I filled animal blood in a football bladder. I tied up here. There is a tube connection to my panties. While I'm walking, while I'm cycling, mad oppressed, there is doses of blood will go there. That makes me to bow down any woman in front of me, to give full respect. That 5 days, I never forget the messy days, lousy days, that wetness, my God, it's unbelievable. But here the problem is, one company is making napkin out of cotton, it is working well. But I'm also trying to make sanitary pad with good cotton, it's not working. That makes me 2.5 years to continuous research. You need first funds. Not only financial crisis, because of the sanitary pad research, I come through all sort of problems, including divorce notice for my wife.
So I'm sorry I couldn't play the whole video, but you see the spirit of what we are getting into for the next 45 minutes, right? We are going to get into shoes of people. But whose shoes do we get into? Shiva, I don't understand this, right? You're talking about empathy, great, thank you. But what is this thing? You're talking about uncharted territories, thank you. You're talking about design thinking, thank you. But how do we connect these things? How is it that I can use empathy to look for uncharted territories? And that was a challenge for us. We didn't know what we were supposed to do, but we just said, we have to solve this problem. And we said, let's do one thing. Let's try and look back in our own lives, right? Many of you here are coaches, some of you are not, but that doesn't matter. All of us have had stories in our lives. All of us have had several incidents in our life. All of us have had conflicts in our life. All of us have had good moments in our life. Our life is full of stories. I always tell my friends that when half an hour before I die, I want to have collected as many stories as possible. So if I define my life, I define it as a number of stories I have. My life will be useless if I don't have a particular story, right? And therefore, we said to ourselves, can we go back into our lives and put on our coaching hat and our empathy hat and look for those opportunities that could have turned into coaching opportunities that have not been explored up now. And while doing this, I thought of a personal, there's nothing better than a personal story, right? So let me relate the story very quickly to you. The story is just to help you understand what we can do in the breakout room, right? So everyone has a nice, easy, enjoyable time in the breakout room. So I used to practice as a lawyer. I used to be a lawyer about 20 years ago. And I was struggling as a lawyer. So somebody said, go and join the legal aid board. So I went to the legal aid board. I was looking for work. And then someone gave me a very difficult work. He said, there is this person imprisoned. He's in jail. He's under the Gundas Act. A Gunda is defined by the number of crimes somebody has committed. And there is no bail for him, but you must meet him and try to get him bail. I've never been to jail before. Right? I've never been to jail before, not as a criminal, even as a lawyer. And it gave me a great opportunity to visit a jail. So I go to the jail. Everyone wants me, saying this guy is really, really violent. He's gone in for horrible, horrible crimes. Don't even go near him. So I go to his cell. He's standing in front of his cell. He's holding the bar like that. And I'm away from him because I've been warned that not to go very near him. So when I go near him, when I go there, he says, excuse me, sir, please, can you come in front? And with a lot of trepidation, I go near the cell, and he clutches my hand. He holds my hand. I get scared. Okay, I thought he's going to do something violent to me. I get scared, but you know what he does? Guess what he does? Anyone? Guess what he does? Anyone? He doesn't spit at me. He doesn't shout at me. He doesn't do anything. He cries. Brilliant, Dharini. Thank you. He weeps, Dharini. He weeps. He weeps and he says, sir, can you please get me out of this prison? I know I have done something wrong, but I miss my family very much, right? I miss my family. I want to see my son. I want to see my parents. I want to see my wife. I love them very much. But please get me out. And that day I realized that this man is a criminal. I'm not going to excuse his crime. But I'm going to also look at him as a father, as a mother, as a grandparent, father, as a son, as a cousin, as a friend, as everyone. And now, after I learned coaching, I said, wait, that is that opportunity, right? There is this opportunity for us as a community to help prisoners. So can this not be a customer segment by itself? Can I not go to the IG of prisons and say, can you pay me money, or can you pay us money in order to coach the prisoners? Can the government, can the NGO, can they not be the payers and the prisoner be the beneficiary, right? Looking at it in a really, really entrepreneurial way. And that's what I think will happen over the next 25 minutes. Like the prisoner, there must be millions of opportunities in the world waiting to happen. And that's what we wanted to do. So the last slide for the purpose of today is this one. That's all. So you are a COP participant. You tell us stories from your life, which can be transformed into opportunities for coaching. go into your lives, use visualization, which is a brilliant design thinking tool anyway. You can use empathy as the design thinking tool for this activity. That's all. So we will have the great pleasure of having listened to every one of you instead of just 2 or 3 people, right? So therefore, the floor is yours, and we are hoping that we'll come back with about 100, 200. Vijay, how many opportunities do you want?
That's like a leading question, Shiva.
Right. Thank you. The only thing is, I request the facilitators to make a note of all the opportunities, and then we'll come back to the main room and we'll discuss what happened in the facility in the breakout rooms. Thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to what we can offer to the world by way of opportunities and by way of coaching and by way of everything. Thank you. Quick, as one says, red hat. Quick feelings. How was the session? Very, very quick.
Good. Session was good.
Horrible, stupid.
Session is good.
No, some great examples. Very from the heart sharing.
Okay. Engaging. Very engaging. Wow. Can we have one more very in front of that very, please?
Very focused and crisp.
Okay, thanks, Prakash. Nice. Okay.
Thanks to Raj.
So now here is a diversified learning, inspiring. Wow. You know, it's so nice because we were wondering whether this got us thinking whether the story and the empathy, how does it fit in? Empathy, stories, vision, too many things were there, and hats off to all of you for managing that, because as a small team we could manage it, but to have actually managed it the way all of you have probably done, as we will hear it soon, brilliant. Thank you. Now comes a more pleasant task for me, which is to make all of you speak, right? So I need the facilitators to, I know that 52 of us cannot speak, but I'm sure the facilitators have 1 or 2 people, 1 or 2 stories. Either the person himself can volunteer or herself can volunteer to speak, or the facilitator can say, Shiva, this is one story everyone must listen to, because I have written down in my room whatever happened, whatever stories came, I have written it down. But there must be somebody from my room who says, Shiva, let me speak. So I'm going to let you decide who speaks. So the floor is now open for one person at least from each room to tell us the story. And Baburaj is going to quickly capture what you are saying so that for all of us, we can see the customer segments, but please be assured that there are many more customer segments that may not happen on the screen simply because the space is not there. But that doesn't mean those customer segments are not important. It's going to help the chapter. Chapter, what 4-letter word for the chapter that Vijay keeps talking about? It starts with G. I don't know what it is. What is that word? Vijay? It starts with G, and then next is R. What's the next letter? Anyone?
OW.
Oh, okay, correct. So,
I thought you would say God.
all right. Okay, over to you. Room number 2, because I was room number 1.
Room number 1, I think, whether you like it or not, it has fallen on me. So actually there were, fantastic members, and thanks to Payal, Geeta, Ananjalam, Arun, Kavita, and Kokila. I think the group was fantastic. After a moment of silence, I think people started talking about it. And I asked the group back whether, would you like to share it? So I think most of them felt that, I am the guy who has made notes and all this things, so better you speak. So I unanimously selected by the group. So I will share and I will also try to jot it down. And what the group is talking about is multiple stories, starting with, a vulnerability feeling of one of the lady members who have shared. What she has shared is that women in today's world actually do not get an opportunity to dream and achieve it because of the family members hold them back. So they, to make their dream come true, and there is a possibility of coaching and to be given to the woman who wanted to dream big. So that is in one area which has come out, saying that go beyond and go beyond as far as the woman whose life is held back by the family members. But getting that family members to coach would be difficult. But at least if you do the coaching for these people, the confidence level and the perspectives will be different, and that is number one. Number two, the point which has come out is on a very interesting thing is on the students community, which their own experience, they felt that if you can create the high school students, teachers, the teachers of the high school students, make them to do a pedagogical shift through coaching, how they can create wonders in the minds of the people and make these youngsters at the high school level itself thinking differently, ethically, value-based citizens in the life. So therefore, they felt that the lady member communicated, and through her own experiences, that it is best to create body of knowledge, and how do we shift the paradigm in the teachers of high school students. And that is the number one. And number two, going forward, we can even do the coaching for the students. That is the second point which has come on. The third point which has come out on the, very interestingly, on the customer facing community. In the community across the corporate world, they felt that they are not being appreciated, they don't get, and their entire life is on doing the same routine job. So if we can do this as do coaching for this community, there we can create a sense of fulfillment by creating an empathic feeling of connecting with their customers. So with the moment that customer facing people start relating to their customer experiences, the fulfillment and the reaching out and helping them would be different, and therefore coaching can be communicated to them. That is the another interesting thought process which has come. These are some of the quick things. And the fourth one which has come out was that on to do coaching for the family of the mentally health patients. That means she has used a wonderful thing that some of the parents actually hand over the children to the unknown hands, because the parents are the better people who can and help them. It need not be differently abled. It can be mentally health, maybe frustrated, maybe stress, going through stress process, whatever it is. These are 3, 4 or 5 communities which has come from our session.
Okay, thank you, Baburaj. So in one session, we have now 5 new segments that we can explore. So can I ask for room number 2 to, we don't have much time, but therefore if you can, who was facilitator room number 2?
I had done that, and Purna will be summarizing. Purna, can you summarize?
Yeah,
I'll step in.
Sure. So we had about 4 stories, and 4 are very different from the perspective that they are perhaps not really uncharted, because now people have started exploring. But back when it started, or even now, one is a repetition which is around the student community on how coaching can help them understand and pave new paths. One was around a career redundancy, where coaching at the right time can help one understand their strengths and explore newer career dimensions. In a way similar, but when a student community, we are talking about freshers who have not perhaps seen the world. But in case of all these people where the career redundancy becomes an issue, which is also a very recent phenomena, coaching can open newer avenues and help them discover themselves better. The third instance was again something where the families play a role in creating an identity crisis of sorts, pushing someone into a state of a different state where they look down on themselves, because this was an example of somebody who is obviously successful for all people who are in India, but where they are compared against some global benchmarks, and how it actually put that person onto a very different mental space. Then the last thing was, of course, again, something where a lot of work needs to happen to create awareness. It's around the space of domestic abuse and how women need to discover themselves So the person who shared the story actually said, this is empathy for self. But had there been a coach intervention, it could have got addressed in a slightly, perhaps, people would know how to address them and seek solutions. So these were the 4 various domains that we discussed, and we got talking a lot, so only 4 stories. So request the facilitator to add.
Purna, it is room 2, no?
Yes.
Room 2.
No, thank you so much. You used a very powerful word, domain, which is exactly what Vijay and in the COP she explained. Very good. Thank you. Thanks, Natarajan. The facilitator, room number 3, please. Room number 3, very, very quick.
Yeah, PMC, yeah. We had 7 people and almost close to 10 unique segments. So in the interest of time, I think I will summarize myself. Details will be later. One good thing is that all the ideas that came were all from the personal experiences or observations or interactions. So in that case, it's 100% full empathy from which these things came. I'll go in the order they spoke. Number 1 is retaining low performers within organizations through coaching. Number 2, special parents of special children, when the onset of special nature of the child gets detected or diagnosed. And of course, not only the parent, but the entire related ecosystem, the medical, the school, the whole lot that get involved with the lives of the special children. That's the second one. Third one is about women. There are 2 suggestions in the inclusion space. Career coaching, what kind of job to take and how to handle that. And related to that is it does not relate only to the unskilled people, but also across the educational and hierarchical spectrum. So related, but here 2 different segments. And the next idea was the need for language proficiency when you are going into an alien land. We often feel, Dr. Winston spoke, that we often feel that we can go and manage, but then without proper command and knowledge, you're not going to go anywhere. Therefore, the need itself has to be emphasized through coaching. The next idea came from student segment. Those who go to higher education, both at UG level and PG level, what kind of path to take. That itself is a major coaching issue. And one more is the midlife managers, how to manage or integrate work and life. That's an additional one. Next speaker, Rajaram was
last one, PMC, last one you said?
Midlife, integrating work and life, especially for the midlife managers.
Yeah.
It's not in general, yeah. Rajaram made an interesting point that by focusing only on organization, we have made coaching elitistic. Therefore, we need to go to the individuals, make coaching non-elitist. That's the keyword over there, by going to the individual. And that goes across all strata of society, from lower SCC, any kind of SCC, not a problem. And he also made a point that as a part of CSR, school teachers were very passionate about educating their students how to handle them. I mean, how to deliver quality education with minimal facilities and infrastructure. I think that's what he had in mind because it was a CSR initiative. So those kind of school teachers, they're very passionate, but they don't know how to. So they can be a coaching opportunity. And lastly, Minna came out with the segment work life, especially when within the same organization, you take on a new role, promotion or transfer or whatever, or when you join or a new joinee to an existing organization, how to make work-life balance for them. So this was the total platter of all the segments identified. I have the names of those people who gave this, so when we need more information, we can always go back to them. I think, Shiva, are you happy?
Yeah, of course, PMC. Thank you so much for putting it so beautifully, so well ordered, as usual. Really nice. So thank you. So that comes to facilitator number 4. Facilitator number 4.
Hi, Shiva. Group 4 was ours. We also had a very, after a slow start, I think Kannan brought us off to a great start, but all from personal experience. I'm going to request Prakash in our group to quickly summarize for you.
All right. So to start with, I think Raj made me the first volunteer. That's on a lighter note. All right. But I see a lot of commonalities. So all the examples, the target audience that was identified was basis their own personal experiences. So I think that's the reason why it becomes more important. So the first was to coach relatives of terminally ill people. Now the terminally ill people, while they don't know what is happening to them, but the relatives undergo a lot of hardships. The fear of unknown, what to do, how to do, whenever something happens. So that is one audience. Second is the patients themselves, because nowadays we are seeing that the patients, quite a few of them don't know how to handle a situation, what kind of questions they should ask, what kind of clarity they should seek. I think that is the second one. And third is the paramedics and the doctors themselves, for the reason that for them it is a kind of a routine work. They have certain targets to be met, and somewhere down the line the empathy gets missed out and the consequence is felt by the patients. So how can we bring in more empathy by coaching the paramedics and the doctors? The fourth audience is frontline social workers. Example, a person who is dealing with specially challenged people. They undergo a lot of trauma, how to deal with these kind of people's mental agony, need wherein every time they may be feeling that I'm not contributing more. So those are the next category. And next we have students. In the students, there are two, I would say, subparts. One are students who don't know how to think. They know what to do, but they don't know how to think and how to go about it. One. And secondly, some students may be ambitious. They've tried to achieve a lot of things in life, but somewhere they get frustrated because they have not achieved what they wanted to achieve. So there is a imbalance in their emotional being. So can we identify and coach those kinds of people? And the last one is someone who is very autocratic. So first you will have to experience those guys, and then what kind of coaching can you do so that they understand things better? So from moving from autocratic style, can they be moved to collaborative style? So in nutshell, these are the target audience.
Thank you, Prakash. That is very commendable that you not only volunteered to speak, but also actually remembered and recorded, and brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.
We have finished 4, but we only have time, very little time. We have 4 more. So how do you manage the time? So I'll leave it to each facilitator to manage the time. Room number 5.
Shiva, this is me.
Yes.
Krishnan. So we had discussions. I'm just going to very quickly go through the dimensions that we talked about. We talked about police force as an area to work. Schools which show very little empathy to students who face certain setbacks. Organizations, especially where there are transitions which are happening within organizations. Biases within organizations in terms of organizational context. People returning from breaks into work. These are very clear target groups where we could look at, or they will be benefited by coaching. Women who suffer a lot in silence is a very, very important segment as well. But I'm going to very quickly pass over to Subbu, because that's a first-hand story that he has to, just within a minute he will tell you a very special segment. Subbu, if you can please.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about a segment which many people have said about it, but this is the special children segment. Okay, now I don't know who named it, who named these children special, but they are actually special. Now I'm associated with one institution where I visit once in a quarter. Now I need to share this experience here because the moment my vehicle enters, they would be able to sense my presence just with the horn. And I've seen many children running to me, hugging me, and they cannot obviously call me by name, but yeah. So, no, these are not dementia. These are autistic type of children. They cannot speak, all that. The biggest problem is, okay, for the parents, they feel it as a curse. Okay, God sent curse for them. And I think this is one area. And now today, I also see that if 1 out of 10 children newborn, one child is definitely a special child. And I think these parents need coaching, need to tell them that you're special. That's why your child is also special. And probably you can do wonders with these children. That's one area which I thought is one area which is coaching. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So beautifully, the feeling that you brought into this was very nice. Thank you. So we finished 5, 6, 7, and 8. 6, Dharini, you want to do it or?
No, please go ahead, Shiva.
Yeah, thanks, Dharini. So we had 4 segments very quickly. Young constables who have just joined the force, students who come from a different background are thrown into a campus. Second one, Baburaj, if you don't have the time, I can always speak to you later on. Single parents who are new to a city and to find out what to do in the city, and coaching parents who are not used to the present, for instance, garbage segregation and things like that, who have not used to the present problems. So these are the 4 segments: police, students, single parents, and older parents. That was the segments for us. So we have 2 more, 7 and 8. 7, facilitator 7.
Yes, actually, hello?
Yes.
So in our room, we had the 4 people, and Prasanna should come. He has agreed to share about it, and he has put it in chat box also. Prasanna Golamudi.
Yes.
Prasanna,
Yes,
please come.
Yes.
Speak.
So, thank you, Kishore. Career coaching in the beginning of career, and then career coaching for startups and their employees. These are the 2 things which we discussed. Apart from that, the newborn parents.
Okay.
Newborn parents.
And
tribals. Sorry.
And what?
Newborn parents.
Yes.
And tribals.
Okay. Got it.
And these are what we discussed.
And old age people.
Old age people. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Old age people.
Tribals. Is there anything which you want to expand it in a one statement?
Yeah. I mean, like tribals who were doing the farming and all. Like I thought, like when I was doing tribal empowerment, I really once I did that, I saw that they can have a good skills, and if you give a good coach and coaching for them, it will be they can come out with a good solutions.
Basically, we are talking about upliftment of social esteem.
Yes, exactly.
Great.
Yeah. And finally, thank you so much. That's a fantastic, completely unheard of segment, right? So it's so much energy to the group now. Every one of us is going to be really, really busy, I think. Yes. And the last.
Last but not the least is our group, and Subha will quickly summarize. Subha, are you there?
Yes, Vijay.
Okay, super.
Thank you. Thanks, Vijay. Yeah, so Vijay, Jayanta, Nazeen, Mariam, and Ashwin and myself were there in room 8. We explored 5 different areas basically. So when Jayanta mentioned about how he struggled to choose which was the career, to choose his career path after his graduation in Sri Lanka, that gave a thought. Even though we are all talking about career coaching, maybe there are certain areas which in which we all can go in and then explore. Yeah, career coaching is one space. And then the second is by Nazeen, wellness and well-being. Even though we have been talking about wellness and well-being, as she mentioned, every time when a new client comes in, there is a new problem. Yeah, new areas to be addressed. I think we should delve deeper in there in that wellness area. And then the third is coaching in schools and educational institutes and then the colleges. Even though counseling is there, training is there, how far coaching is present, the ICF way of coaching is present in these educational institutes. I think we need to do more research, as mentioned by Vijay. And beautifully mentioned by Vijay here about the household health. We took empathy, Shiva, your word empathy very seriously, our team. When we were talking about household helps, most of them are single moms. Yeah, even though husband is there, he's just there, sort of. Yeah. So these women, they need support definitely, as well the children. Vijay shared a heartwarming story how a beautiful young boy turned into something else because he was not getting the right support at that right time, right? So that is an area that we need to explore. And finally, it's not from my personal experience. When I watched this movie Gangubai Kathiawadi, yeah, see that particular segment, the prostitution, that particular industry, I think there is a huge scope for coaches to get in there, that women and then the children of these women. Yeah. And with my team's permission, I didn't add one more when we were discussing the families of these women. Yeah. Even if they want to go back to the family, even the house there, they allow them to go back. Families are not ready to take these women in, right? So the families also we can start supporting through our coaching. So these are all 5 different areas, the uncharted territories that we can definitely explore. That's from all of us.
Super, thanks so much. I know that we are well past time, but sometimes in life, time well spent is much better than time that passes, that overshoots. So thank you so much, every one of you. Subha, yes, when I watched Gangubai, I also said to myself, what am I doing, right? What am I not doing rather than what am I doing? So thank you so much for bringing that perspective. I think I don't know how to express the joy of having discovered something. I suppose all great discoverers would have probably had the same joy, Columbus and Newton and everyone. So be in that company. So I'm going to hand it over quickly to Natarajan.
Yeah, I will take a second before Natarajan comes. Fundamentally, first of all, thank you very much to everybody. And Subha, I have added the word invisible husbands. You might use the word invisible husbands. But fundamentally, for taking it forward, there are major, broad guidelines of 10 points, which is coming. One is friend community, teachers community, women, career coaching, parents with special children, and medics and paramedics, social workers handling, and tribals, household helps, and family of red-light population. Some things, 10 specific points comes in. Out of this, we can, going forward, we can take it and see that which area we want to work it out. Fantastic outcome, and thanks a lot to everybody. Over to Natarajan.
Thank you, Baburaj and Shiva. It was fantastic. If somebody would have said you can identify so many areas at such a short time, I would not have believed. But that makes me remember a Zen proverb which says that it is said that the wise person learns from his mistake, the wiser person learns from others' mistake, the wisest of them learns from networking and sharing of information. So that's exactly what the crux of COP is. And this next part of the COP will be touching upon the other areas of design thinking, and we'll be exploring much more deeper into the other unexplored territories in the emerging market. We have kept the COP free for all. Anybody can join. We'll be having 6 meetings in a year, which means every 2 months we'll be having a meeting. Some of the sessions could be a facilitated session. Some of the sessions we might invite some thought leaders to come and share their perspectives. And we would be looking for COP champions. And I would request Baburaj to share the form. We would like to share a feedback form about this session. And if you're interested in joining a COP champion, so that we can together explore newer territories. So please fill in this form. And also we need this form for CCUs. We have 1.5 RDCCUs. So it's time for us to get the closing password. I think it's already there in the chat box. So please give your feedback and Once again, thank you all for coming in, sparing your time and sharing your thoughts and giving a lot of new ideas and making the COP a grand start. Okay. Thank you, and over to PMC.
Wow, that was some exploration and co-creation. I sincerely thank everyone here who have so actively taken part in this exploration and have given us valuable suggestions and insights on uncharted territories in the emerging markets. Before we close the session, an announcement. The next session of the mini conference is experience coaching, starting at 5:20 p.m. IST. This is open to those who have already registered as clients and coaches. I see several of them here in this participants list. So all of you, please report on time for the session and have an engaging coaching session. Otherwise, those who are not registered for this next coaching experience coaching can join us for the session 3 panel discussion, 7:30 p.m. IST. That's the time we begin, and don't miss that. That will be my personal recommendation. And those interested in the COP can reach us regarding the COP through mail ID called events@icfchennai.com. Apart from expressing your interest, you can also write to us here. In addition to that, you can join our mailing list, get to know of our programs, especially ATC, All Things Coaching, where we have very interesting discussions on coaching on a regular monthly basis. Now, I would like to thank all those one more time who have given us so much from their own life for the growth of coaching, which new uncharted territories we can get into. And I also thank those who may volunteer to be a part of the community of practice. Together, we can make coaching grow in this country. There's so much available for us to grow. I thank the lead facilitators, Shiva and Baburaj, and all the breakout room facilitators who have conducted an interesting and fruitful session and were able to consolidate all of them and give it to us for further consideration. And of course, I thank all my colleagues who have contributed to the making of this event. So exciting, so creative, so enjoyable, so invigorating. Thank you and see you in the next session. Bye-bye.
PMC, one little thing for the road, not for the road, for tea and coffee. Let's have a group photograph.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Quite true. Quite true.
It would be lovely to have everyone on camera with the background, without the background. Launches are always special, and it's because of your active engagement and participation is even more. So when everyone's ready, my only request is don't use the chat box so we don't cut out the last row. And when I say 3, 2, 1, everybody says COP, right? And then we take the photo. Okay, is everyone ready?
Karthik and Kavita, Rajaram, everybody. Okay. Great.
3, 2, 1.
COP.
Nice. Let's do it one more time. 3, 2, 1.
COP.